Aloha, I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and I conduct work life video interviews with career professionals that become an all intuitive conversation. Aloha, welcome to another episode of All Intuitive Conversation. I have the opportunity to connect with Giorgia today, so let's add her to the stream. Aloha.
Hi, Felicia. Hi, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be here.
So thank you so much for joining me today. And so when you and I kind of connected right in the beginning, just kind of like do a sound check, I detected an accent. So where are you joining me today from?
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here as well. And yes, I am Italian. I've been living in London for 7 years now, but the Italian accent doesn't go away.
Okay, so Italian and living in London. So it's interesting because I was just hearing a song. They were talking about that, like living in London. And does it rain a lot in London?
Not as much as I thought, but
Okay.
it's windy though. It's windy every single day.
Okay. So what took you to London?
Oh, I never know how to answer the question because it was just a pull. I
Hmm.
never felt like I belonged in Italy. And I don't even know why, because I had a good life. I had a family who loves me, I have friends, but somehow I never felt like I belonged there.
Yeah.
And I always felt this pull towards England. And I remember going to London on holiday when I was 19, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that I arrived here, it just felt like home. And
Hmm.
at the time, it didn't make any sense to me.
Uh-huh.
And I resisted that pull because, it's like, what am I going to do in London? I don't know anyone. I don't have a job. But
Yeah.
7 years ago, I found myself in a place where I didn't have anything. Only back in Italy, I didn't have a job that I liked. I didn't have the relationship. And I said, let's follow that pull. Let's see what's going to happen there. And yeah, really, that's where I actually found coaching. I found the community of people that really gets me, and it's been the most incredible journey.
Hmm. Okay. So you went when you were like in the 1920s?
The first time, yes.
Okay. So you go there and you fill this pool. So since you've been there, what have you been doing? Like, what is your career now? Like I said, because you didn't have a relationship, you didn't have a job or anything like that. So tell me a little bit about your day-to-day life now in England.
Oh, so when I first came to London, I was writing. I was like a freelance writer, something that I always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually turned out very well for me. I made some great connections through that. And at the time, I thought this was going to be the thing I do forever. But again, life had other ideas. And through that, because I was writing about beauty,
Mm.
and that led me to become a skincare coach and create customized routines for people. And
Yes.
through that, I realized that for me, the best part about skincare was actually seeing the confidence in women as as their acne heals, as the skin becomes more radiant. And I want to go deeper with that. And that's when I started actually coaching. And mindset
Mm.
coaching was the biggest thing for me. And as I said, like what's how my life is right now,
Mm-hmm.
I could never have imagined even when I first came to Canada, because I was just thought, oh, I'm just gonna be a writer. But every step that I took since I followed that pull and moved here has really taken me to where I am right now. And just couldn't be more grateful for the entire experience.
Oh, okay. So, um, it's interesting how, like, say, we never really, as because you used the word thinking a lot, which was interesting because the very first came out is was talking about a thinking
Oh,
man.
wow.
But of course, you're presenting yourself as a divine feminine energy at this moment. And then the next thing that pulled out was a woman and envy. But what put me in the mind of this was like the fairy tale that we talked about. The older woman that's having the envy of the beautiful young woman that has all this beautiful skincare and all that, and how she envies that. And so that was coming out when you were talking about, helping women and then coaching them. And then the last one that came out was this, beautiful divine feminine energy that came out, and they was talking about like walking away, which kind of was the initial theme of what I could hear in the beginning. Like, you walked away from Italy to this whole new gate that you had no idea where he was going to, and then stepping into this whole high vibe. And like I said, and this woman, she has on her, her makeup, her sarong. It's very beautiful for that. So the question that comes to mind is that now that you didn't expect where you were going and what you were doing here in London, what is it that you think you may be doing a year from now?
Oh, that's an interesting question because I always like I'm someone that always reinvents herself. When you were showing the walking away card, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that I walked away from Italy, but also I'm not scared of walking away from a career or a path that is not aligned anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, right now, what feels aligned is again being a massive coach and help entrepreneurs overcome sabotage, limiting beliefs. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that's what I'm going to be doing forever. One thing that I would love to do, I have a podcast as well, and I would love to grow there. So maybe in a year from now, maybe more of a podcast than a coach. Like I don't know, but I have learned to just trust the journey, trust the process, and because life's an adventure. Like you never know. Like I've been most of my life, I've been overthinking, overanalyzing, and I
Mm-hmm.
see this sometimes because the part of me is very strong. But I also find that the biggest rewards when you just go for it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but that's when the biggest rewards come.
Yeah. It's like having this plan but loosely kind of loosely holding it in this plan. But it's like, yeah, it's like a lot of people I you have those that say, I've always imagined I was gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. And then like you were just kind of saying, like, I had no idea that I was going to be doing this and just kind of going with the flow and the energy. So I love that you're kind of open to that, like to just wherever it leads me to from that. So I'm being led to ask, because you mentioned 19, tell me about what you were like when you were 7.
Oh, when I was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when I was 7 years old, I was still in Italy, still living in a small village.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just it was my second year of primary school because we started a year later in Italy.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I remember like that from the outside, my life was like, as I said, I had a good childhood. I had loving parents. There was nothing bad or traumatic that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember feeling like I didn't belong there. All the other children, that the Italians are like, cheerful, they are outgoing, they like to go out and play sports. And I was always being more studious, being more academic. And
Mm-hmm.
so that year was, it was the year where I was actually starting to, make friends, but also understanding that I am different from the people here.
Uh-huh. It's interesting because when I went to this oil deck and the trigger statement talks about I'm stuck. But then the true statement says I'm filled with possibilities. Allow yourself to float up above any thoughts, which goes back to how you're saying you kind of overthought a lot of different things, or emotions, and see what is needed for you to process them and to move forward, which is like walking away from something. But then you also got resilience, and that talks about the trigger statement is I need to control. The true statement is I surrender. Allow yourself to relax with the currents of life. These changes will take you even closer to where you are meant to be. And then finally, because you had three that came out at the same time, the next trigger was it's too much. But the true statement says, I'm grounded in my body. Use your empathic abilities to connect with others. Discern the information you receive and do not take on what is not your own. Of those things, what resonates with you?
Really resonates, especially the first card, because when I was living in Italy, that's exactly how I
Mm-hmm.
was feeling. I was feeling there's so much more that I could do with my life. There are all these possibilities because, again, I was so much passionate and allowed to do different things. But again, growing up in that small village, I always felt like there was this narrow path that I had to follow. And so I felt stuck. And it wasn't until I
Mm-hmm.
came to London that again, I started to explore those possibilities and also getting to know myself better because I always had this empathic ability, for example, but I always tried to suppress it because I didn't see anyone else having that growing up. But
Mm-hmm.
here, as I was saying before, I truly found my people that are like me and they get me. And so now I feel like I'm getting more comfortable with who I am and expressing all of me. And I
Yeah.
guess and I guess it takes a lot of resilience to actually embark on this journey.
Okay, so yes, because it's like the I need to control it to squash this down. So tell me more about your experiences with your abilities.
Oh, again, I do feel that surrender is something that I'm still learning. Actually, I think the entire theme of this year for me is surrender.
Uh-huh.
Because until a couple of years ago, again, I had to have everything under control and I have every single step planned. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, life doesn't always go your way. So I did pivot, I was flexible, but still there was the need to control the flexibility and
Yeah.
controlling the pivoting. But the past couple, especially the past year, I just like I don't even know how to explain this, if it makes any sense, but I feel like every time that I try to do something,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the door gets shut in my face.
Hmm.
And that, it's not that I'm not supposed to be a coach or to be on this path, but it just loves saying, don't control it, like let it unfold naturally. Because when this past year, every time that I try to control something, the door is shut in my face. And it's
Mm.
like I need to surrender this. I am learning to surrender this, not just because I always go for what I want, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also to be on my terms. And now I'm learning that when I do on my terms, I may get what I want, but it's not necessarily fulfilling. It doesn't necessarily make me happy. And so now I'm learning to not just jump, but also trust the openness, trust the unpredictableness of life.
Yes. It's yeah, chill, like they're taking you back to like when you were 19 and like you decided, okay, this environment is really not suiting me. Okay. And you got inspired. I'm feeling stuck here. And then you decided to move to London, England. Like I said, there was nothing there attracting you to that place other than you, I think your abilities pulling you there. And then you have this whole, great life and this experience, right? And then somewhere it sounds like maybe got caught up a little bit. And like you said, the control comes in. I need to control this, I need to control that. Like we get a little older and we have all these programming that comes into place. And it's just like reminding you, like, no, you do really well just letting things, flow from that. So that's because the theme for this last card was the connection. That is that connection point for you of just being able to just to just walk and just go. Don't know where this gate is leading me to. Because that's the thing. Like all the women have this like this gate, this new path, but it's going towards, light with that. And so that's why I was kind of interested why they asked me, like, what do you think you're going to be doing a year from now to see how much control you think you got to have over that versus just kind of just going with the flow with that.
Yeah, in a way, it's like I am coming out of the closet now because I did coaching in different capacity from skincare to business, but it's only recently that I'm allowing myself to follow the path of mindset coaching and bringing more of my spirituality into it as well. And again, that is the pull to go in a direction, but also to do the pull to do more of podcasting and interviews. So for me right now, it's like I have a general direction, but don't ask me how to get there, or because I learned that so up until now I've been trying to do that and it isn't working out. So now I'm just going to feel a way there.
Yes, yes, because it's like you said, the history that you had before was like you were thinking about everything and how that passed, and then you kind of freed yourself from that. But then somewhere it got a little murky, right? Like,
It did,
okay,
yes.
like, but then, like you said, you see this path of light where you want to go to that, and then it's literally the walking away of going through that, like this freedom in this gate. So I love that you're bringing that whole spirituality piece because I can relate to that. I mean, as I say, I hid in the closet for a very long time. It wasn't until January of 2020 that I came out of the spiritual closet in order to do something like this publicly about the spiritual aspect of that. So, who do you have or comes to mind that's supporting you on this journey, that this new journey that you're taking?
Oh, so many people. In the past couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
I I met some incredible coaches here. I joined group programs. I joined networking clubs, and that really has brought me in contact with people who, as I said, they are exactly like me. They are entrepreneur, they are spiritual, and so now I am surrounded by I have mentors and coaches that help me guide it. But I
Mm-hmm.
also have like a community of friends
Mm-hmm.
that is very supportive. And right now, everyone around me really is positive, is supporting, is empowering. So I and this is what I was dreaming of when I when I was like lit to actually have people like me that I could find my tribe, and now I feel that I have.
Well, I went to the specifically the light deck and was thinking like, okay, who can come and help and inspire you, encourage you, right? And this woman I looked, I said, she reminds me of you. And this is Bridget, and it talks about the inner strength. And the card literally says, move back to wholeness. Recognize that you have the power. And so
Wow.
it's like going back to your strength, like I said, like we were saying in the beginning, going back to when you were like 19 and 20 and just having that freedom and the flow and just going with that. And so I'm feeling led, instructed to read this to you. So it says Bridget is a Celtic goddess of Ireland who is closely associated with fire and the time of spring. She is the twin flame of Cernunnos. She was also well loved by the Celtic people that when Christianity came to the island, she was adopted as a saint by holy wells and other holy places. She is a powerful figure who can help us channel our energy into something that is important for our growth. And as she herself has lasted through the ages, she has longevity to our journey so that we can reach a deep state of wholeness. You can call on her to bring her sacred flames to burn away anything that is not serving you, to bless any new projects you have in mind, and for support with fertility. Extended message. Your spiritual fire is growing within. Recognize that the power of your soul is greater than you think. You have come a long way since you began this journey. There is a powerful force within you, and you have the ability to create wonderful changes in your own life and inspire those around you to do the same. Be aware of new projects, opportunities, and fertile ideas that can grow into something larger than you may imagine. Call on the fairy goddess Frigid to light the way ahead.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, like this path and the project that you're talking about or thinking about in the coaching is in line with you.
Yeah, I do feel that, and what you just read with me resonated so much because last year I had an experience that, one of those experiences that make you question your life and what you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I asked the universe was to allow me to let go of everything that's no longer serving me, that would actually prevent me from going on this path. And I think of my wish. And it was not, I didn't even realize it for a long time because things did start to fall away. And,
Mm-hmm.
when you wish about letting these things go, in the moment you wish, it feels like a positive thing, and it is a positive
Yes.
thing, but then you start to lose some people, lose some opportunities, and you start wondering, why is all this happening? Why are you feeling good? In the moment, it does not feel good, especially when it is one thing after the other.
Mm-hmm.
And in those months, I did lose trust in myself because I was like, why is this happening? Why do one bad thing after the other keeps happening? I felt again like the loss of
Mm-hmm.
control, and I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, that I was somehow failing at this. And
Mm-hmm. Losing control. Mm-hmm.
it's only recently that I'm starting to realize that actually now those things that have fallen away, and what has left, as I said, there's the supporting community, a new career path. So it's like everything has been aligned, just that we think that when we aligned, it's gonna be only a positive experience, but it's a mixed bag. Like you get the bad and you get the good. But
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and the more that I realized that the way I realized why this was happening, why these things were falling away, and appreciating what was coming in, that actually is relighting the fire in myself. Because now I'm like, oh, I was losing control, but it was actually good because I could not move forward with that baggage.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, there, Bridget is continuing that yes, you continue on your path in the fire, and that's one of those things that it shows you that yeah, you can control it, but it's like when it gets out of control that it can become, this whole dangerous thing. But it's like it can bring such warmth, it can bring, heat, it can bring change, it can burn some things that need to be, burned from that. But then it's still letting it flame and burn, but yet being respectful of the power that it also has as well. And so you're definitely continuing to be encouraged on this path, but also reminding you, remember what you were like when you went to England as you're thinking about your future path going forth.
Yes.
Yes,
As,
indeed. Indeed. Well, Jojo, it has been a pleasure to hear some of your story. I hope you have been encouraged to live smart and ascend in your career or your personal life. Thank you for co creating this moment with me. Thank you for those that are co creating and watching us. Until we meet again on next week, this has been an all intuitive conversation.
oh, thank you for having me. This was awesome.
You're so welcome, sweetie.